Longhorn fans, Sooner Nation, welcome to episode 131 of the Bevo Podcast, the only podcast exclusively dedicated to covering the greatest rivalry in college football, the University of Oklahoma, and the University of Texas. I'm here with my man, Kevin Miller. I am John Whitson. Kevin, twilight on the 40 acres. The Texas faithful were captive observers to the introduction of a boy, nay, a man, nay, a demigod. A demigod destined to lead them to the promised land. Following in the footsteps of St. Peter, St. Vincent, and St. Colton, this half man, half Manning, staked his claim to immortality. And with his performance Saturday night, the torch has been taken, the throne has been passed. Goodbye to a mortal. All hail a Manning. I don't think I'm over the top here, Kevin. I think the University of Texas has seen the future and it's going to say goodbye to the past. When that man, boy child, Manning descendant, scampered for 67 yards, including a juke, it was over. Quinn Ewers is done. This is Archie's team, and it's not even close. Will you miss Quinn Ewers as the quarterback of the Texas Longhorns?
I mean, it's not over with Quinn.
Oh my!
I know
Kevin.
I know. Hold on. I know this is going to be the national narrative, and it's definitely going to be the Sooner fan narrative. Yeah, because you guys like to make up narratives.
Listen,
Quinn is a starting quarterback.
Kevin.
Quinn's not done.
Kevin, I'm not happy about it. I don't want the next greatest college football quarterback in the history of college quarterbacks starting at the University of Texas in y'all's first year in the SEC. I do not want to see you win a national championship on the backs of SEC royalty. It's the last thing I want to see. I want to see Quinn throw 3 interceptions against OU in the first quarter of the Red River rivalry in Dallas, Texas on October 12th. I don't want to see any of it because Arch Manning is going to start. He is going to dominate, and Quinn Ewers is done. Over. Finished.
Not true.
The minute he got a side stitch and couldn't breathe anymore, it was over. Side stitch. He went out for a side stitch, never to be seen again.
Quinn will be back.
Done.
It'll be great.
You probably think I'm over the top. I will allow you some time on your own podcast to speak to what's going on with the starting quarterback at the University of Texas. Proceed.
Well, I think it shows how good our quarterback room is, and that most teams would kill to have a Quinn Ewers backed up by an Arch Manning. We're very lucky, John. First of all, Quinn Ewers was playing lights out before he got hurt. Let me just start there. 14-16, 185.
Bad interception.
Very, very
bad interception.
He lost his mind for a second. It's like he was halfway in between two things. Should I throw it to the running back or should I throw it away? He went right halfway in between and threw it right to the defender. He lost his mind there for a second. Other than that, man, he was lights out. 14-16, 185. That RPO slant he hit Isaiah Bond in. I mean, he couldn't have walked that ball up to him and put it into a better spot. He's lights out, but gets hurt. Arch comes in. I'm a little concerned about that when Arch comes in, just because, we just have yet to see Arch in a meaningful moment, a non-garbage time moment. And, of course, he comes in, throws a touchdown on his first throw. Next drive has that 67-yard touchdown run on his way to 4 touchdown passes in of course, that like we just said, the 67-yard touchdown run. So future's bright, man. We'll start with that. The future is very bright at the quarterback position at the University of Texas.
All right, you as of we're recording this late, Kevin, because I was in Temple, Texas, at soccer. So this is now being recorded at 7:00. By the way, after not being in Texas for as long as I have been, which is like 26 years, 27 years, I don't know how people live there. It is 100 degrees in the middle of September. I mean, I know it's hot here, but it like cools off at night. It's kind of pleasant. Texas is like the fourth circle of hell when it comes to heat, and it just lasts forever and ever and ever. It's so hot. I digress.
Yeah, it is.
So we're recording this late at night or later on a Sunday than we normally do. But we have a lot to talk about because we have Quinn to talk about. We have my Oklahoma Sooners to talk about, who my initial thought, I'm just going to get it out of the way right now. When we were on script, whether it was the scripted plays that they started the game with or the scripted plays they came out of halftime with, as long as we were on script, we were very effective moving the football, right? Long, sustained drives, 10 play drives. I think we have a 14 play drive in there. It was refreshing to see that it's possible. But when we had to go off script, it got ugly, and it got ugly quickly. And if you're concerned about anything heading into Tennessee, let alone the fact that Tennessee just put a 73-point burger on Kent State, it's OU's ability to protect Jackson Arnold in the pocket against Tennessee's defensive line. In the second half, it was not good. I'm going to have nightmares about it, I think, for the rest of the week. Did you see anything with your, dispassionate eye that tells me that you can tell me anything different than what I saw in the second half of that football game?
No, I don't think so, man. I think if you're an OU fan, there was some improvement, right? Offense, you moved the ball a little bit more consistently than you did against Houston. The script was was good. The script was nice to start the game.
A lot more consistently. Lot more consistently. Like,
correct.
The improvement was. Anyway, go ahead. You're right.
But man, as you got deeper into the game, like you said, the protection just broke down. Arnold was getting hit so many times, and again, you're projecting this going forward. If this is Tulane, if this was Houston, and then it was Tulane, now you have Tennessee and James Pierce, and like you said, if you watch any of that Tennessee versus Kent State, or just to highlight 71-0, I mean, it was 50. It scored 50 points. It was like 56 in the first half. It was unreal how explosive they were.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is, they were just running the regular inside zone and the deep shots. There was no real creativity to what they were doing. And they just completely shut out Kent State.
The arm on Nico, I mean, we're going to talk a lot about it in our preview episode, but Nico's arm is, look, we talked about Jackson Arnold and him being on the same level, or not the same level, but in the same position. Redshirt freshman, taking over, played a bowl game, 5-star kids, all of that stuff. You wonder what Nico would do behind this fractured line that OU is throwing out there. Would he still be excelling? Hard to say. Who knows? But with the line he does have at Tennessee, my God, he looks good, dude. He looks really good. And
he has a running game, too. That's what takes so much pressure off him.
Well, not to take away everything. Not to take who Tennessee's running it or Nico
Tennessee. No, Tennessee. The balls with their running backs.
Right.
So it takes pressure off Nico. The Sooners are not running the ball well.
OU is not necessarily running the ball well. However, the quarterback run game, which we're going to talk about, was very effective and takes pressure off of him. The problem is it doesn't keep him from getting hit. He's still going to get hit. He's a tough kid, but Dude, we're about to hit SEC play where it's week after week after week.
Yeah,
So anyway, we'll jump into it.
Yeah, the athletes are much more explosive coming up.
Let's jump into the week that was week 3. Kevin, we talked about it. You and I had the identical picks. We ended up going 2-3 on the week. Not a great week, but an interesting week. Boston College looked really good in the first half against Missouri. Missouri had to climb back into the game. They eventually won 27-21, but they did not cover. Their quarterback, though, 264 yards. Running back, 22 carries for 121 yards. And Burden, the third, 6 catches for 117 yards and a touchdown. Their offense is pretty good, and when they got it going, they got it going. But that was a loss for us. On Thursday night, K-State shut down Arizona, which was surprising to me. It was surprising to me, and it makes which as I'm watching it, I'm like even more nervous about the Tulane game because I'm like, okay, they shut down Arizona, but Tulane had such great success against them. I couldn't figure out what that meant for OU, but then OU ended up having a good defensive game against Tulane. So I don't know what any of that means. Maybe it doesn't mean anything at all. We both had Arizona, and we lost that K-State.
Real quick, Arizona just really looks like a two-man team with Fafita and Teteroa McMillan. If it's not those two, it's not really much else. They couldn't run the ball. McMillan still had 11 catches for 138 yards, but not much else going for Arizona at all.
And their defense isn't as good as it was last year.
Correct. Yeah, they lost a lot of guys.
Just looking at it.
We've got 2 of their defensive linemen playing for Texas right now from last year.
Yeah. No, that's exactly right. And so, that's I think they got exposed a little bit, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And you're right on the 2-man game. There's a lack of weapons there. And K-State is a smart team and can take away options. And I just, whatever. We lost. LSU. We had South Carolina covering, and they did cover, so we won that game. But LSU, dude, they outscored South Carolina 20-9 in the second half. South Carolina had 2 pick 6 interceptions called back. They had another late in the game penalty. There were 13 penalties. There was a little bit of controversy on the internet whether the refs actually sucked and were horrible or whether South Carolina was undisciplined. Care to comment?
I think it was a little bit of both. And really the biggest factor in this game was South Carolina's quarterback, Lenore Sellers, getting hurt in the second quarter. He didn't play in the second half. That's why their offense stalled so much. That's the reason why their offense stalled. I think if Lenore Sellers plays the entire game, I think South Carolina wins. I mean, he had a 68-yard touchdown, something like that, in the second quarter before he got injured. So I think they kind of probably would have ran away with this game if not for him getting hurt.
Well, for Oklahoma fan, the South Carolina game suddenly looks a lot harder than it did maybe even a couple weeks ago. However, at the same time, the LSU game looks easier, even though LSU beat South Carolina. Let that sink in. I don't know how that
actually
works.
It makes sense. For whatever
I promise
reason,
you that's what OU fan is thinking. Yeah, I promise you that's what OU fan is thinking. Anyway, we did take the win on that. OU, we picked not to cover. They got, I won't say a backdoor cover, but they kicked a field goal at the end to cover. So we both lost that. And then Texas rolled against UTSA 56-7. We both had wins on that. Around the country and other games, Georgia, Kentucky, here's the problem. Once Georgia got the lead, once they scored the 1 touchdown to go up 13-9, the game was over. Now, there was a lot of drama, and some things could have gone different ways, but you knew it wasn't going to go a different way. You just knew it. And Georgia did not look good, though. They did not look good against the same team that the aforementioned South Carolina Gamecocks rolled. So I don't know what to think of Georgia, Kentucky, South Carolina, LSU. I'm very confused right now by this SEC.
Yeah, and it's interesting though. I don't know what Mark Stoops was thinking. They had the ball as a fourth down. It was about 2.5 minutes left, and they punt the ball back to Georgia. They're down 13-12, and they punt the ball away with with
Yeah.
3 minutes. And they had three timeouts. But like, what are you doing? So they're forced to take all their timeouts on defense, get the ball back with a few seconds left. I'm like, are you just conceding the game? You had a chance to try to go win it. Go try to win it. It's the number one
I
team in
just
the
hate
country.
that. I hate it. I think you got to go for it. I mean, if you don't pick it up, I mean, I'm sure people are going to second guess you, but to your point, you've got
No.
timeouts to get there too.
Yeah, go win it. Go try to win it. You brought in
Yeah.
this five-star guy, Vandergriff, who I'm still not sure of. They've had some issues protecting him, right? They've had some offensive linemen out. But yeah, just give your guy a chance to go win the game for you.
I don't know how good Vandergriff is. You can see the talent. You can see the velocity that he has on the ball. Like he slings it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure he knows exactly where he's slinging it. Maybe he just hasn't had enough live game reps since high school.
Yeah.
But Georgia, I mean, Kentucky is not that good defensively, right?
Well, they are pretty good defensively, especially up front. They've got a guy there. I can't think
Didn't
of his
South
name.
Carolina go for 31? Didn't South Carolina go for 31 against them
Yeah, but
in Kentucky?
that was their defense, though, man. That was South Carolina's defense getting sacks and forcing turnovers.
Okay. All
Their
right.
defensive line.
Gave them a lot of short fields. You're saying gave them a lot of short fields.
Correct. That's right.
Okay. All right. Alabama beat down Wisconsin 42-10. It was a game for about 5 minutes, and then it looked like Bama all over. Then Taylor Van Dyke did get hurt in a game. I don't know.
Yeah, once
I don't know.
Any chance that Wisconsin may have had went out the window when Van Dyke got injured. It was very early in the game too. I mean, it was middle of the
I know, but did you really think it was gonna?
No, but I mean, it just could have been interesting. Who knows?
Ole Miss beats Wake Forest 40-6. Again, we mentioned Tennessee over Kent State 71-0. My only notes next to that is oh crap. As an OU fan, I mean, here's a problem. Man. Josh Heupel is there's no bigger chip on a man's shoulder right now in the country than what Josh Heupel has for the University of Oklahoma and the way he was treated by Bob Stoops in 2014.
Yeah.
And to be able to come into Gaylord Memorial Stadium on the Oklahoma's introduction to the SEC and absolutely destroy Oklahoma, there's nothing more that he wants in his life.
Yeah,
I think he'd sell a kid. I think he'd sell a kidney for it.
Yeah, well, he's got to be looking forward to it.
I'm just saying. Oh my God, Oregon State, Oregon, and Dylan Gabriel finally looked like who we thought they might look like. I think it's more of a function of Oregon State not being very good, but 49-14 is 49-14. Miami over Ball State 62-0. Utah over Utah State 38-21. Yeah, which one?
On that Oregon State thing. Okay. I know Oregon State's not good, but I mean, this is a team that struggled to beat Idaho and got ran on by Boise. So I'm sure they'll take this. This is a much better performance from them after those two games. So yeah, they finally look like the Oregon that we expected them to look like. How they should be playing.
Yeah, I mean, Dylan Gabriel went 291 for 2 touchdowns, and I think he had a rushing touchdown. Again, he looked like really we thought we'd see.
20 of 24.
Yeah.
Going to football. 64 yards rushing too.
The Utah State, though, the quarterback that took the place of Cameron Rising is Wilson. He went 239 for 3 touchdowns and an interception, and their running back went for 17 carries, 123 yards and a touchdown. I think Utah will probably be okay in the Big 12. I think that even though this was a Utah State, not a Big 12 game, but I just think they might be fine. They might be fine.
They'll be all right. It's not going to be easy, though.
Other action in the Big 12, Oklahoma State beat down Tulsa 45-10. Michigan over Arkansas State 28-18. not the rousing rebound that a Michigan fan probably hoped to have.
No,
But
I'm sure
they're
they'll
back in
take
the
the win. Now, Davis Warren, I don't know if you saw a stat line or if you watched any of that game. Okay, so he was 11 of 14 throwing the football, but all 3 of his incompletions were interceptions. 11 of 14 for 122 yards with 3 interceptions.
What's
The
that
good thing,
QBR?
I'm not sure.
12?
21.8.
Wow.
21.8. Now, the good thing for Michigan, and what Michigan fans will feel good about, is that they ran for 300 yards, which they'll like
Yeah.
that. And I'm not sure why this whole Donovan Edwards thing is fascinating to me. 17 carries for 82 yards for him. Khalil Mullings, we said this. I told you this after the first game of the season. Khalil Mullings needs to be their starting running back. He had 15 carries for 153 yards, 10 yards a pop, and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And his long was only 38, so it's not like he had a 99-yard run.
It's a stark contrast to Donovan Edwards, though. It's a stark contrast. He should clearly be the featured back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do we need to go back and remove Donovan Edwards from the cover of NCAA college football or EA Sports College Football 25?
I never understood him being on it to begin with.
No. I'm like, we got Quinn Ewers, who's balling out. We got Travis Hunter, we'll get to him. How good
we'll
he
get
is.
to Travis Hunter.
Yeah, so it's like, you don't belong on here.
Notre Dame 66-7 over Purdue. Nebraska stays safely in the top 25, beating Northern Iowa 34-3. ASU and Texas State got a little hairy there for ASU, 31-28. It would have been nice if Texas State could have pulled that off. In a surprising win, at least to me.
DJ Kinney is not going to be at Texas State for long.
You don't think so?
No, the way he's coaching, I mean, to take a program like Texas State and have them playing against a Pac-12 school and being very competitive. I know Arizona State's not. It's not like it's 2004 USC. But to energize that, I mean, Texas State has never been good at football. We grew up in the area when they were at Southwest Texas State back then. They were never, ever good at football. That's a good football team.
The best coach in the history of Texas State was Ed Gennaro, and I don't think there's a close second.
I don't know, man.
You get that reference, Kevin?
Is that from the movie?
Do you get that reference?
It's from the movie, right?
That's an unnecessary roughness.
Yes. When
the speech,
the fact that you know that more than an actual Texas State coach.
The speech that his assistant coach gives at halftime of the game at the end is one of the greatest speeches of all time.
I need to go back and see it. I've seen it, but it's been
it's so good.
25 years.
It's so good. Hold on. I just had it pulled up. Hold on. I'm going to tell you who this. It's played by. Is it Paul Loggia, the actor? Oh gosh, where is he at? Robert Loggia. Remember Robert Loggia? He played a lot of gangsters. Anyway, he's Ed Gennaro's assistant coach, Coach Wally. Wally.
Oh yeah, I remember him. Yeah.
Anyway, at the halftime speech, Ed Gennaro's in the hospital, so Wally has to give him a speech. Oh my God, it's so good, dude. You just look it up. Everybody out there, do yourself a favor. Look up Unnecessary Roughness halftime speech. Super good. Also, you got Kathy Ireland as the kicker, which is not bad in that movie.
No,
I'm gonna tell you that was prime Kathy Ireland too. I want to say like 1988, 89. Might know the bit. You know what I'm saying. Okay. I don't even know where we were. I'm thinking about Kathy Ireland. UNLV beats Kansas. Again, at Kansas. Just another weird game this weekend. Nothing like too crazy, but just enough to make you think what's going on? This shouldn't have happened. Kansas should have beat UNLV.
Yeah.
Right?
Or was UNLV a decent program? No, I think anybody would have picked Kansas to win that game with Jalen Daniels.
It's not like the greatest. It's not like the greatest upset in the world, But it's a lot like this LSU South Carolina game. It's a lot like the Michigan game, even the Ole Miss. The Missouri Boston College game or the Georgia Kentucky game. Just these weird scores that don't fit conventionally with where we were thinking everybody was. And
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels not performing, not giving you
12
what
of
you thought
24 for 153.
against UNLV. And so
Correct.
you think to
2
yourself,
interceptions.
we thought Houston, and I'm not trying to make this happen, but we said, well, Houston has to suck. They have to suck if they get beat by UNLV because there's no way UNLV is any good, right? That was conventional wisdom.
Yeah, correct. And they got blown out by you.
And now UNLV sitting at 3-0.
3-0
with wins over 2 Big 12 teams. I can't.
It's gonna be a crazy year. It's already proven itself to be crazy, and we're just getting started.
Well, and then if you're crazy, this is just games of other note. Florida State losing to Memphis 20-13. Has it ever happened that a top 10 team's lost 3 in a row to open the season?
Maybe it has, but not that I can remember. I'm sure it has at some point. But they just look bad. It's just nothing is working.
Sticking in the state of Florida on teams that look bad. Florida loses to A&M 33-20. I don't know. Do you fire Napier at this point, or is this schedule so brutal you just let him coach it out and draw the buyout down? And
I don't know if it matters this year.
They're 1-2, right?
Yes.
Hold on.
It only gets harder.
Go ahead. What were you saying?
No. I'm just saying, when you can't get dominated by a Texas A&M team at home, and who knows, A&M may end up being pretty good, but you can't blow that game at home when you have the rest of the schedule that Florida has.
Florida does have Mississippi State. So that's probably a win. Mississippi State looked terrible this week. I don't even
they got blown out. They got blown out by Toledo at home.
Yeah. You know what? I didn't even write their score down. It's so bad. And then they play UCF, but UCF just beat a good team, didn't they?
Yeah, they beat TCU in Fort Worth.
Yeah. So they have UCF. That's not a guaranteed win. And then it's Tennessee, Kentucky, Georgia, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss. We thought Florida State was going to be a hard game. Hell, that's probably their best chance to win.
I hope
their best chance to win is probably against Florida State.
I really hope that
Norvell and Napier are still there.
Yeah, because I want to see them play against each other and just see who's worse. So bad.
Arkansas struggled against UAB. Vandy gets beat by Georgia State. Auburn handles New Mexico. Finally, Colorado and Colorado State, the least liked team in America. I'm on the list. But Travis Hunter, my God, Kevin, it's week after week of incredible playmaking.
He's unreal.
The superlatives are getting worn out. What this kid can do, almost single-handedly. And you say it all the time. Is he a receiver? Is he a corner? Dude should play every position. I don't even. It's nuts.
It's interesting because we know Colorado does a lot of talking between Coach Prime, Shador, and just their guys in general.
Too much.
But this week, however, it was the Colorado State guys that were doing all the talking. We should have murdered those dudes.
Remember they did it last year, though.
They did.
A lot of trash talk last year.
It was. They talked a lot of trash, and which I'm fine with. But you just got to go handle it on the field, and they didn't do that. You can't go and say we should have murdered these dudes last year. We'll see how many Instagram, they're out there doing it for Instagram likes. You can't do that and then lose 28-9 at home. You can't.
Okay, will you explain to me why that game was on CBS? Like, what package of teams does CBS have now that they would have shown that?
They must have the Mountain West deal because it wasn't even their A team either.
Oh, really?
It was it wasn't like it was, their top guys there.
Yeah, I'm still getting used to everybody's different.
It was
it.
At Colorado State, so it's a Mountain West conference deal. So you get whatever TV package they have.
Well, that's week 3. It's already week 3. We're 1 quarter of the season complete. I'm a little sad. Right now.
So am I.
You, though, are at least sad, but with a lot to look forward to. I am sad and have to play Tennessee next week. So I'm not sure what to think about that, but let's take a moment and thank our sponsor, Brown O'Haver. Brown O'Haver works for the insured, not the insurance company. Listen, I don't know how more plainly I can make it. Insurance companies want to screw you. That is how they stay in business. You have one large loss in your life, typically, especially to your home. Don't get screwed. Call Brown O'Haver, 405-735-5510 if you have to file an insurance claim on your home. Get paid. Get paid. On average, we get clients 30 to 40% more money than they get on their own. Call Brown O'Haver, 405-735-5510. You don't even have to sign up with us. Just call and say, hey, here's the situation. Am I being treated fairly? Can you give me some direction? Just start a relationship. Let us at least point you in the right direction. But if you want to get paid, you want to seriously consider signing up with Brown O'Haver. Call them if you've had a loss to your home or your business. 405-735-5510. Kevin, Oklahoma hosted Tulane. They won 34-19. Starting on the defensive side of the ball. Tulane coming into this game, including a trip against K-State. Not a trip, I guess a game against K-State because they hosted them. They were 13th in the country, averaging 9.7 yards per play offensively. Oklahoma held Tulane to 3.6 yards per play on the defensive side of the ball for Oklahoma, offensive side of the ball for Tulane.
Shut them down.
And that's with some legit weapons. Mario Williams is a legit weapon. Now, some OU fans will come and say, oh, well, that shot was there all day. If the quarterback would have just hit it. Okay, great. We can talk about that. And maybe there's some truth to that, but they didn't hit it. Whether they were disrupting the quarterback just enough, whether they got the receiver off his route just enough, regardless, we didn't get hit with any of that. And I will contend that the 2 plays they did score on, I thought Billy Bowman, who is a Thorpe Award finalist, made a bad play in the end zone on that first touchdown to end the half. I thought he got himself out of position. and could have made a very athletic play and maybe even intercepted it. But he just kind of got lost, which is so unusual. So that's number 1. Not saying they wouldn't have scored anyway, but that's number 1. And then number 2, on the fourth and goal to go, man, make the tackle, OU. You're there.
Yeah,
make the tackle, make the stop.
You forced him to throw it short. That's what you wanted there.
Yes, and I thought we tackled high.
Tackle. Yeah.
Was it Billy on the tackle too?
Yeah, you had a couple guys. Yeah, I think he was one of them.
Yeah, and so I think they went high, right, instead of low, pad level, whatever. Those are the 2 scores. Now they scored them. I'm not taking them away, but that was it. The other score came on a really, really dumb play by a true freshman quarterback trying to make something happen. Okay, and that is the quintessential. I'm sorry, redshirt freshman play that we will have to live with throughout the year. We hope it gets better. We haven't seen very many of those through the season so far. I think with additional pressure in the SEC, there's a chance that could go up. But that was a very bad play. But other than that, to hold Tulane to 19 points, 13 offensive points, very happy. Very happy with that defensive performance. Coming to town next week is a completely different monster on every level. But I think Oklahoma is continuing to demonstrate that the defense is legit.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. They never look comfortable out there for the most part. I thought you stopped the run, and their running back looked really good in their last game against Kansas State. And he didn't get into much of a rhythm. He got a couple, nice runs in the second half, but overall, I mean, they were fighting to pick up 3 and 4 yards, right?
Yes.
And then the pressure you got after the quarterback, especially late in the fourth quarter when the game was really on the line, right? You got after the
Oh
quarterback.
yeah.
The
I
quarterback.
haven't even mentioned our Mason Thomas, who I swear on the last 5 plays of the game, he had 3 solo tackles that were sacks and a strip fumble recovery on the quarterback in like 5 of the last. I've never seen a player just almost single-handedly take it over like that. And especially somebody that's not performed to that level. Yeah.
Correct. And it always fascinates me when someone is getting constant pressure on the edge and the coaching staff does nothing to help. If your tackle is getting destroyed by one guy, you think they put a tight end over there, have a running back go and chip on his way.
Yeah.
Correct. And nothing. They just left that poor tackle out to dry, and there was nothing he could do. And it was clear. It's like, he can't handle this guy. He's tired, and this guy's figured out the formula of getting around him, and they just let it happen.
Our Mason Thomas has been one of those players now for, 3 years, who's supposed to be the next great edge player at OU in the line of Okonkwo. Yeah, and in the same vein as like Obo Okonkwo. I can't even remember his name. Oh, but Obo and now I'm blanking. Who's our guy? Who's our guy against Alabama and
Stryker?
The edge guy. Yeah, Eric Stryker. Wow, I don't know how I forgot that. Yeah, he was supposed to be one of those next guys, Yeah. And speaking of guys that are supposed to be one of those next guys, PJ, I'm still waiting for him. Like I still have, and we still haven't seen that at all. But for our Mason Thomas, it was pretty awesome to see. I hope that momentum carries through the rest of the season. Like maybe he's had a moment where he wakes up and it's like he can see it clearly, knows what he has to do, and does it. Because it was really cool. Anyway, that's the defense, Kevin. That's the defense. I think we agree. Really, really good performance. You take it any day of the week. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Offensively, okay. I talked about it at the top of the show. The script, when they were on script and on schedule, the offense looked very effective. And I will say very effective because they opened with a 14-play drive for a touchdown. You can't beat that. Like, there's nothing better for an OU fan than to see a long, sustained drive that ends in a touchdown. They do go 3 and out on the second series, but then they go 10 plays with a punt, which is not the end of the world in the SEC, okay? Because you're giving your defense a rest. It was really, really hot. You could tell by the end of the game we were the fresher team. And a lot of that was based on a 10-play drive. Then it was a 7-play drive for a touchdown. Then it was a 6-play drive for a touchdown to close out the half. That's really, really good offense, okay? In the second half, again, on script, on schedule, 13-play touchdown. Here's where it falls apart. 5 plays and a punt, 1 play with a pick 6, 3 and out, 3 and out. Arnold does bounce back with a touchdown with a nice run, nice athletic run. And then 4 plays with a field goal to essentially put the game away. So I give the offense, they started out with an A, but I have to bounce it back to like a B or a B plus. And the adjustments weren't there. And a lull like this against Tennessee is going to result in a loss. Okay? So that's number one. Jackson Arnold, 18 of 29, 169 yards, a touchdown and interception. Okay throwing the ball. He had a key drop by Deion Burks on one of those 3 and outs, which sucked.
Yeah, it was a
because
third
he threw
down.
a pretty good ball in there.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, he threw a good ball in there. It was like would have been a 13-yard reception. But I liked him running the ball. 14 carries, 97 yards, 6.9 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns. Here's the deal. He's a 5-star for a reason. If you're not getting running production out of your running backs, you got to get it from somewhere. You have to keep the defense honest.
You do.
And I thought he did a great job of stepping up and taking advantage of some lanes. They were smart runs and athletic runs. We'll talk about Arch's run here in a minute. Very similar in terms of athleticism.
Right. Yeah, very similar athleticism between those 2 guys. Very similar.
Yeah, and then they went with what I asked them to do, which is start Tatum. Tatum, he didn't have the yardage that I liked. I still think he looks good, and he's waiting to break one. He had a receiving touchdown. He only went 9 of 27 for 3 yards a carry. So I'm not thrilled with that, but just something looks better. Because even Sawchuk, again, 6 carries, 16 yards, 2.7. I don't know what we have to keep seeing with Sawchuk to keep giving him the ball. It's just stop giving him the ball. It's just not happening. Barnes, quasi-effective, 14
he had
for 53 yards, 3.8. But I thought we stayed committed to the run, all that. Receiving, Burke, 7 for 80, Bowershot, 4 for 28. Again, the skill positions did not give us the production that we need. Right? Like the production came largely on the legs of Jackson Arnold, and, with some timely passes. So, again, not a beautiful display of offensive football, but a vast improvement over the previous week.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you see the development from your quarterback. Again, we talked about that pick 6. Those things just happen with young guys, right? We saw with Quinn.
They're going to happen.
It is. They're just seeing things for the first time still. You just want to hopefully he just learns from it and it doesn't happen again. And again, when things aren't, the offense has started to stall, he's trying to make a play. He'll learn that.
Yes.
Just take a sack. It's better to just take a sack than to do that. But again, he's learning. You just need other guys to continue to step up for him.
And again, he didn't respond. Yeah. He didn't respond right away. He didn't respond right away because they went 3 and out in the subsequent 2 drives. But he did respond with that big play, scoring drive, put the game away type situation. I didn't even mention the defense, by the way, getting that turnover with Billy Bowman on the right when OU needed it. They also created a turnover, which, by the way, how stupid. Why are coaches, why do they outthink themselves? That Tulane, they're running the ball down OU's throat in the fourth quarter on that drive.
Very well.
And it is 3rd and 1, and you do play action like you're going to sneak one over on OU. It's like, what is happening?
Yeah.
Why do they do that, Kevin?
And it's a young quarterback too, right? We think about Darian Minshew, the redshirt freshman. You put him in that.
Well, position. He wasn't even the projected starter. He wasn't even the projected starter going into camp at Tulane.
No, I mean, Ty Thompson is a former 5-star. Was at Oregon. Everybody wanted Ty Thompson. So, if you look at their roster, you would expect him. I remember looking at the roster. I'm like, oh, they have Ty Thompson, and he's not starting. So, yeah. He's a talented guy. You can see the talent. I mean, you made it very difficult for him. 3 sacks, 14 of 32 throwing the ball, 166 yards, touchdown in that INT. So, yeah, rough day for him. And again, like you said, just some interesting coaching decisions from Tulane that kind of took away an opportunity they might have had to try to get an upset.
I thought so too. I just run the ball. I mean, yeah. I know that people that listen to this podcast are like, yes, John, we know, run the day. But it's just so weird to me. It's so effective against, it was hot. You're late in the game. OU has to play a little conservative because it's now a 1-score game in the fourth quarter. So they can't just completely stop the run. And then you do that. And I think it was Kenai Walker made a great tip. And then it's tip drill with Billy Bowman, who was due a play after we talked about him kind of maybe being responsible for one of the touchdowns at least. But anyway, listen, if you'd have told me 34-19 Saturday at 2:00 in the afternoon, I'm absolutely taking this score. And now we get ready for Tennessee. I'm just not sure, Kevin, on Sunday night at 7:56 p.m. if I see a path to victory for OU against Tennessee.
Well, I think it's going to take, an almost historic defensive performance, right? It has to start there because you can play defense. I'm curious to see. This is going to be by far, obviously, the biggest test from an offense that you've seen all season. And can you play defense enough? Can you shut them down? Can you get after Nico? Can you stop the run? And at least give your offense a chance to try to make some plays. I think that's what it'll come down to.
Kevin, Texas, big win, 56-7. UTSA is not the same team they've been over the last 3 or 4 years. But it doesn't matter. You beat them down, look good doing it. Real quick, what you think about my opening speech? You seemed a little put off by it. Did you not like it?
No. The speech was great. But it's not Arch's time yet.
Do you know what figure from ESPN, who only typically appears one day a year, that I was trying to channel with that speech?
Only appears one day a year? Was it like Kenny Mayne or somebody?
Mm-hmm. Nope.
There you go. No?
No, it's the announcer from the hot dog eating contest. Have you ever seen him do the eater intros?
No.
Oh, you're missing out, dude. You're missing out on America. His intros are so freaking good. And so that's what I was trying to channel. Okay, that's what I was going for. But that's fine.
Okay.
You didn't get the reference. That's no problem. Number 2, did you pick up on the Saints that
I did, and I
stepping
appreciated
into the
that.
footsteps of?
Yes, for the Saints of Peter Gardier and Vince Young and Colt McCoy. Yeah, well done.
Okay. I didn't know if you'd get the Peter Gardier one. I thought that was a little obscure.
Yeah.
I mean, not really that obscure, but
no,
you got it.
If a guy who goes 4-0 against OU, I'm gonna.
I know. I hate him. He's a butthole. Anyway, all that to be said, the game itself would not have been as interesting if Quinn doesn't get hurt. First of all, let's start with Quinn's injury. What's wrong with him? What's the early prognosis? I mean, is it serious? Is it result from like what happened last year against Houston? Can you give us any insight into the injury? Go.
No, it had nothing to do with anything. It was just a strained abdominal deal, I guess. He was making a throw. I think he just turned wrong, just kind of pulled, an abdominal muscle somehow. It wasn't a contact thing. He had threw a touchdown. He threw that really nice RPO slant to Isaiah Bond for the touchdown. On the follow through, he hit his thumb against a helmet for one of the UTSA pass rushers. You could see him favoring the thumb, even when he was on the sidelines. It was his throwing hand, so he's using his left hand to high five everybody. Comes back out on the next drive. Has a big play to Gunnar Helm. And as he's running down the field to run the next play,
that's not the play. That's not the play where Gunnar leapfrog the guy, is it?
Yeah, when he
when the leapfrog works, I love the leapfrog, but I'm always worried a dude's going to get helmeted in the man parts.
Yeah, for real, or get hit in the legs and flip and land on his head. Remember? Do you remember
always worried
that as a freshman?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, that was one of the most scariest things I've ever seen on a football field. Yeah. He had to miss the game.
No, 100%. I mean, I think it's cool when they do it and they pull it off, but at the end of the day, it's like, I don't know.
We get a serious
Gunner's
injury,
a big dude too.
He is, yeah. I think he surprised everybody this year with how athletic he is and how good of a receiver he is, because he was always known as the blocking guy because Jatavian Sanders was a receiving threat at tight end. JT's gone. He moves up and he might even be better.
What year is Gunnar Helm?
Gunner's a senior. He might have one extra year. You know how that goes. But he's a senior. It's his 4th year.
He's going to get drafted.
He is.
He's
He is
absolutely going to
absolutely
get
going to
drafted.
get drafted. And if he
And
keeps
with
playing
each
like that,
successive game, no, he really does look really good. All credit to him. Okay, back to Quinn. I'm sorry. Quinn throws his Gunnar Helm, and now he's
yeah,
kind of
he's
feeling
grimacing
around.
down the
Go ahead.
field. Yeah, and then runs one more play and just goes down. And I'm not sure what had happened. None of us are. You see him on down the ground. You don't know if it's a lower leg injury or what. So he kind of limps off. You see him kind of grabbing towards the side of his stomach. So Arch comes in and the very next play throws a touchdown. First play on the field throws a touchdown to DeAndre Moore. So it's kind of crazy for Sark, right? You bring this guy in off the bench, ice cold. You're thinking, okay, he's gonna, hand off up the middle. Oh no, we're gonna play action, roll him out the pocket. He's gonna hit a guy in stride. He's gonna turn and run in for a score. Crazy.
Listen. I know it's UTSA. All right, like I'm not stupid. I know it's UTSA, and this is, like I said, not the UTSA team for the last 3 years.
Correct.
Number one, is there an element of Quinn knowing this was a game to go out if he was going to do it? Do you get that vibe? Like that? Like it was precautionary, or do you think he's really
I'm
hurt?
not sure. Well, the reports that we have so far is that he's week to week. It's not as serious as they feared it could have been. But he's week to week. So I would expect that he would miss a game against ULM and then they'll reevaluate him after that. We have Mississippi State after that, then the bye week, then the Red River Shootout. So potentially he could be out for 3 weeks as a precaution. I would like to see him, if he's able to, come back as soon as he can. Now, I obviously don't want to rush him back to where he can get further injured. But my thing with Quinn is, this is a guy who has aspirations of being a first-round pick in the NFL. From everything that I've heard, he is looking like a first-round pick per NFL scouts. The knock on him, though, and it's just a fact, this is not an opinion.
Durability.
He's missed time. Yeah. Right? It's not nitpicking. This is just what we've seen. Right? His first year, he got lifted off his feet and driven into the ground on his shoulder by an explosive pass rusher in Dallas Turner. He missed 2 games. Last year, gets the injury against Houston on a quarterback run. He misses 2 games then, too. Right? So we're talking 5 games in 2 seasons. And that can affect your draft status, right? Coaches want to know if you're going to be out there. This is going against, college competition. These NFL scouts are going to be concerned about drafting a guy who may not be playing all the time. If you look at the best quarterbacks in the league, they play all the time. Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, Tom Brady, they just did not miss a lot of football games.
Remind me to talk about Tua. Speaking of missing football games, we got to talk a little bit about that at the end. That was, oof.
Yeah, it's getting scary.
Okay. All kidding aside, I'm dead serious. I'm not being funny when I ask this question. Quinn's out next week against ULM. Is there anything Arch can do to turn this into a real competition? Or are you saying when Quinn is healthy, he is back?
I don't think there's anything he can do to make this into a legit competition. When he came into the game, the offense, you see all the big plays, the offense did stall. He took a bad sack, had a dangerous throw. Again, I'm excited because you see the talent, you see what it looks like, you see the arm, you see the accuracy, you see the athleticism, the willingness to throw the ball deep more consistently than Quinn does. But, there are some things that you just saw that show you he's young. He's locking on to the first read sometimes. And again, I'm nitpicking here, but there's just the reasons that Quinn should be starting over him.
Jackson Arnold has that. Jackson Arnold has that going on right now too.
Yeah, correct.
Pretty much Jackson Arnold is if Deion Burks isn't open, he's in trouble.
Correct. Yeah. You have trouble going through your first 2 reads. And then if you do go through your reads, you lose track of the rush. So those game reps that are needed. So I feel very comfortable with Arch playing against ULM starting that game, right? It's ULM. It's one of the worst teams.
Probably Mississippi State too.
Probably Mississippi
but you
State.
Want you want him back, but you want him back against Mississippi State.
I want Quinn back against
That's
Mississippi State. Yeah, and I really want him in rhythm going into the Cotton Bowl because I don't care how y'all look. I don't care if you lose by 4 scores to Tennessee and if you go to Auburn and lose. I don't care. I want Quinn in that game. I don't want Arch rolling out there inexperienced in that environment against the Sooners. I need Quinn out there. The experience at this point with Quinn, there's not much that he hasn't seen in his 3rd year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I trust the experience. And you know how this game goes. Typically, the more experienced quarterback has the upper hand. We saw that with Dylan Gabriel last year.
Yeah.
Right. We've seen it with you. So just usually how it goes.
I think Oklahoma fan is crazy if you don't want to play Arch over Quinn. With what BV can roll out in terms of coverages and blitz packages and alignment and just making it really, really hard on a young quarterback, 100%. I mean, the things that are to your advantage right now this year, outside of receiver, is you're loaded with experience on the offensive line. They've seen every sort of blitz that they can think of. Your quarterback's seen every sort of blitz you can think of. There's just a lot of experience there. And the only way to mitigate that going into OU Texas would be for Quinn to be out and have an Arch. And that would give Oklahoma a chance to win in that game.
Correct.
As it relates,
it's a battle. It's a battle no matter what. But yeah, we'll take our chances with Quinn. And just because his improvement that we talked about, the things that I wanted to see with him so far this season, I've seen it. Remember, we talked about it. Him bailing on the pocket too soon, running into pressure instead of just trusting himself to stay in the pocket. Yep. He's done that. You saw it against Michigan, keeping his eyes up as he's rolling out. It's all been there. That improvement has been there. The biggest question now is his durability, which is obviously coming into question right
now. Here's the other stat. I just mentioned that you don't have a wealth of experience at wide receiver. But holy crap, dude, they're talented. Wingo, true freshman, he's the real deal, right? I mean, he's really as billed. 3 catches for 127 yards, a touchdown. Isaiah Bond, 5 for 103 and 2 touchdowns. Helm only had the 1 catch in this game, but he's looked really good. But then out of the backfield, you had Jonte Cook, 3 for 30. Right, he's out of the backfield. Am I saying that?
No, he's actually a receiver as well.
I'm sorry. I apologize. Anyway, 3 for 35 and 2 touchdowns. So this is like the consistent stat that I've given the first 2 weeks. Well, here it is for the 3rd week. As a receiving core, they are averaging 17.1 yards completion.
Yeah, the offense.
They are really averaging over a first down and a half every time they touch the ball. And I think it's for that reason that Texas legitimately gets the spot at number 1 over Georgia this week. I think the voters, at least in the AP poll, have made the right decision because Georgia does not have the explosiveness in offense that you guys do. It's just not close right now. And, is your defense on Georgia's level? No. And have they been tested yet? Have they been tested yet to really know? Even then, I still don't think so. But they're okay, and they're probably good to pretty good, right? I mean, you're not bad at defense. It's just you're not. I don't think you're OU's defense. I haven't seen anything that indicates that. But you're going to stay in games, and I mean, we said this last week. If Texas played Georgia, Texas would be a favorite. I double down on that right now. When when you play Georgia, I think you're going to be every bit of a 7-point favorite by the time it gets to the Georgia game.
Oh, you think it'll be 7?
It might be a bit much. I bet it's 5. I bet it's 5.5 or 6, especially if you beat OU convincingly. If you beat Mississippi State and OU, then yeah, okay. I do. I think it's like 5.5, 6. Yeah.
Real quick, what do you think this OU Tennessee line is going to open at?
Has it opened yet?
I haven't heard.
Let me look. Let me look real quick. That's a good question.
For whatever reason, I was anticipating it coming out tomorrow. So
I've got it. So let me reverse the question. What do you think it opens at? Because I now know what it opened at.
I'll say Tennessee -6.
7.5. At least on DraftKings, which is what we use.
Okay, 7.5. What do you think about that?
I think it's a lot of points for OU at home. For as fired up as Josh Heupel and company will be, I think guys like Billy Bowman and Danny Stutzman and Dominic Williams, who, let's face it, in some weird way, have dreamed of playing in the SEC now for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Like, everything has been a prelude. Everything in Billy Bowman and Danny Stutzman's career has been a prelude to play in the SEC. I think the biggest reasons they came back are not NIL related. I think it was proving themselves in the SEC. And so now, do I feel like confident OU is going to win? I know, but I think Tennessee is going to get their absolute best shot, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And so I just think 7.5 is a lot. We'll pick it on Wednesday or Thursday when we preview it. And if the line moves, maybe it'll help me make a decision. But right now, I'm leaning toward an OU cover.
Okay. And it's such a fascinating game. Well, man, I don't know, man. Like, I think your defense can keep you guys in the game. I'm just knowing what Tennessee has on the defensive line, and from what I've seen with the protection of Jackson Arnold, that's what makes me nervous. And the inability to consistently run the ball so far this season. So even if Tennessee scores 27 points, can OU score that many points against this Tennessee defense the way the offensive line has been performing up to this point? I don't know who you're going to have back, right? Are you getting guys back? Is Nick Anderson finally going to play? You know, I think a lot of it hinges on Nick Anderson, dude. I do think Hickman's back at center. Well, that'll help tremendously.
That's the rumor I heard today at the soccer field, which is usually pretty right on.
Yeah. How do you block Pierce? Are you gonna double team him?
I think you do a lot. Well, it's like what we talked about with Tulane. I think you got to chip. I think Barnes has to take a shot at him every time.
Yeah.
I mean, if you ran more
on his way to his route.
Yeah, if you ran more Barnes this time than Tatum, it would make sense to me from a pass pro perspective.
You got to have the best pass blocker out there.
And like every time he runs out, whatever it's for, he's hitting the guy on the shoulder to turn him back inside. But I do think Hickman back at center helped a lot. Bates is like, I don't know, was he the third or fourth string center at this point? I mean, I think he's done an adequate enough job in the sense that we've won 3 games. So, but having somebody that, we can go to battle with that's been there, I'm okay with that. But I still think it's Nick Anderson. I really, really do, because right now he's got Arnold, has one target he's looking for. It's Deion Burks. And we've got to open the playbook up a little bit. He's got to have some other guys to look for. And nothing better than a 6'4" receiver that catches a lot of touchdowns. Kevin, we're running a little late. Normally we don't get to talk NFL because when we do, we're really just kind of previewing. But we've seen some NFL, so I'm gonna go ahead and bring it up. What is up with your Cowboys? What the hell happened this afternoon?
We talked about them before the season, and I told you I was not a fan of the way the roster was looking. I think you saw that they look really slow defensively out there.
But how did they look? How did they look so slow? How did they look so slow defensively this week when against Cleveland the week before they looked like the '85 Bears?
That's a really good question. Well, Cleveland sucks. That's first and foremost.
Think Cleveland won today?
Because Jacksonville sucks.
Well, that's a good point.
Yeah,
fair point.
I don't know, man. They just did whatever they wanted. They couldn't cover. They couldn't stop the screens. The screen game, they couldn't stop the run. Just a nightmare of a defensive performance. Offensively, they were okay in the first half. Dak had an interception where the receiver was an end breaking route. The receiver had good position, and he slipped out of his break. Ball was already in the air, got intercepted. They went down and scored, and that was pretty much the end of that. So we'll see what happens from here on out. But I'm not surprised. I didn't expect him to be very good this year, but we'll see. Still early in the year.
What did you think about the two OU quarterbacks getting big wins? Baker going up to Detroit. I think that's a huge win for Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I mean, the Bucs look like a very serious team. Very serious.
I like it. I like the way Baker's playing within himself, but confidently. It's he's making throws when he needs to make them. Yeah,
he looks great.
And then Kyler, they let the game get away from him in Buffalo last week after having a big lead. They did not let it get away from him against LA this afternoon. Kyler looked good. The Cardinals looked good. The Rams looked bad. Any thoughts?
Yeah, Cooper Kupp got injured for the Rams too, late in the first half. The game was already out of reach. But I mean, just for them going forward.
You talk about availability. I feel like he's hurt a lot.
He really is, man. He's had some bad injury luck over the last couple of seasons. So, but Kyler, man, yeah, he looks like the Kyler of old, right? He looks like the guy that was drafted number 1. He was, really elusive in the pocket.
I don't think it can be overstated how bad a decision it was to hire Kingsbury.
Okay.
He didn't even have a winning record at Texas Tech. What made us think he was going to do anything at Arizona?
Yeah, the hire was very interesting. He actually was, honestly, for me, was better than I expected him to be. Just because based off a guy who had a losing record at his alma mater with 3 NFL quarterbacks that he coached there, with having Baker Mayfield, Davis Webb, and Patrick Mahomes.
The game that sticks out to me, though, more than any is the playoff game against Seattle.
Yeah. It was one of those
where
teams.
But you could just tell, though, where one team had made adjustments and was playoff ready, and another team had no idea what they were doing in the playoffs. No business being there, no idea, no game plan. And I don't know. I hope Kyler bounces back because he was on the verge of being a superstar. He's taken a dip with some injuries. It's fun. I think it's a fun league when Kyler's playing well. So
yeah,
and then lastly,
exclusivity in the pocket. Him, guys trying to chase him. And Marvin Harrison Jr.
Well,
I mean, welcome. Welcome to the NFL.
That's a great draft pick for them. Great draft pick for them and a great draft pick for Kyler. But you know what? This is the transition here, though, right? So Kyler does not get hit. He's not. I think the entire year he played at OU, he never got hit. Slides out of bounds, goes down in the pocket if he senses it. He just did not get hit, and he really doesn't get hit in the pros. The injury he had was not like a contact injury,
Correct. Yeah.
On the flip side of the coast, Miami, Tua, is he done?
I don't know, man. It's starting to get scary, though. It really is starting to get scary.
First of all, I didn't think that the Hamlin hit was anything more than a tackle. Yeah. I think it was pretty weird that Tua put his head down. And I know that in the moment, I don't know how I would try to do it, right? In the moment of a play.
Right.
But at the same time,
protecting yourself.
But he needs to be cognizant of that, right? He needs to be sliding there. He needs to be just kind of going down, kind of rolling with it. I don't think DeBar I don't even think he took a shot, if you would say that.
No,
do you?
It wasn't.
I mean, it just looked like a tackle.
It was just a routine. It's a collision, but it's not, it wasn't a hard pop or anything like that. Where he was trying
I'll tell you what freaks me out about it. Kevin, what freaks me out about it is his hands.
Yeah.
To his hands and his fingers. It's like every time he gets a concussion, the weirdest stuff like the weirdest electrical impulses get sent to his hands and fingers,
Right.
and
Yeah,
it freaks me the freak out. Like,
yeah, it's
freaks
like
me out.
trying to reprogram itself. It's terrifying, man.
Oh, I get
It's
so
terrifying.
uncomfortable when I see it, and you just look, man. You got all the money in the world.
Yeah. He's
I,
got five. It's just five
just
now documented for him.
and he's had more than that. I
I'm
mean,
sure
you
he
just know
has.
it.
Yeah.
He's
There
had,
was one
whether
he
it's
had last year
college.
where they said it wasn't one where he got up and was running to the next play and stumbled, basically collapsed
Yeah,
briefly, and they said they're adamant that that wasn't a concussion. Like, okay, all right,
I think what's more interesting along those lines is concussions are down, right? I mean,
yeah,
quarterbacks don't get. I mean, you think about when we were kids, when you started watching football, like the punishment that Joe Montana would take from the Giants and the
yeah. Lawrence Taylor was
Cowboys,
all over him. Yeah,
and what Troy Aikman would take on that
yeah,
turf,
from Lawrence
right?
Taylor and Reggie White and those guys.
Oh, and the
Clyde
49ers, Ray
Simmons,
Norton. Yeah, I mean,
oh,
all
Ken
those
Norton, and
dudes.
yeah,
And yeah, Ken Norton. Yeah, from Ken Norton. And
Charles
it just,
Haley.
dudes they got quarterbacks would get just blindsided. And it just doesn't happen anymore to the
No,
extent that it happened back then. And then just as a general rule, concussions are down. So it makes the Tua concussions even more glaring, I think. That why is it happening to him specifically? Because he's the common denominator, not other quarterbacks or a particular person hitting in a funny way or anything like that. It's really Tua. So I don't know, man. He's got to take a hard look at that, don't you think?
yeah, and I think after last year, 2 years ago, when he had the 2 or 3 concussions, he had done some training on how to fall properly, to not so his head won't bounce. I believe it was judo. They're taught to fall
Yeah,
kind of with their
jujitsu.
jiu-jitsu, okay, with
Yeah,
their basically with
yep.
their your chin against your chest to relieve the impact on your head when you fall backwards or get slammed to the ground. But this one wasn't that. That wouldn't have helped in this situation because he was going forward. So I don't know,
No, what would
man.
have helped?
It's scary, right?
What would have helped if he would have slid or just kind of turned his back and let himself get tackled and taken down?
Yeah.
Like you've
Or
kind of
even
seen that
dive.
with
There's
quarterbacks.
so many other ways. Yeah.
But like you'll see a quarterback run, he kind of turns and almost gives
Yeah,
himself
like a
up.
roll. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's almost like a
Yeah.
roll. The guy hits him and then just kind of takes him down, and everybody agrees this is what I'm doing because you're the quarterback.
Yeah.
Like,
Uh-huh. Because I don't want to get a penalty or
I
a
don't want to get a
fine.
penalty. Yeah, I don't need any of that. I'm taking you down. Everybody's down. We're okay. I don't know. It's just I just had to bring it up to you because I like your perspective on that kind of stuff. Kevin, y'all have Louisiana Monroe. We'll preview that, and of course Oklahoma. Probably the biggest game in the program. I mean, I think it's possibly bigger. It's the biggest game in the program since the Georgia Rose Bowl. And I think it's bigger than every other playoff game that OU's been in. Georgia Rose Bowl because of the loss, Ohio State because of the win. Outside of that, I don't think there's a bigger game since
Yeah, I
the
mean, the
national championship
storylines
game in
for this
2000.
game are fascinating, right? It's your first ever
Abound.
SEC game.
They abound.
You've got, the last quarterback or the quarterback of your last national championship team coming to town. It did not end well with him being an assistant coach. He feels disrespected. He hasn't been back since. And now he's back as a head coach of Tennessee, which is a very good team. It's must-see TV. And for you guys, it's a
And then
showcase game for the nation.
yes, exactly. Even outside of that, even if we were playing Auburn this week and Tennessee next week, I still think is Oklahoma ready for the SEC? Like, and I know that sounds so cliche after this entire summer of talking about it and the last 2 years of talking about it, but it's really the question that needs to be answered in the affirmative for OU. Brent Venables has recruited well. We all feel good about the direction of the program, we think. Money's good. NIL's been positive. Everything's good. But this is where it matters, right? Is a big-time opponent entering a big-time conference, everything on the line. It's our first primetime game, and I can't even remember when. And when I say primetime, I mean got the ABC crew, right? We got Kirk Herbstreit.
Kirk and Fowler.
And the dog, I guess. What do you think about the dog? You okay with the dog? The dog doesn't bother you?
It's fine. It doesn't bother me.
I don't want to be canceled by Kirk, so I'm not saying anything about the dog.
Yeah, it's fine.
I will say people with dogs sometimes, though. Like,
people have interesting relationships with them, but
But whatever, Kirk. I love the dog. Please bring him by the house.
Are you going
to
dude? You try to get tickets?
No, I ain't going to the game. Dude, I'm not made of money, Kevin. I'm doing a podcast for 13 people that listen to us every week. What are you talking about going to the game?
You don't have to
I think tickets
to one game. One game.
Dude, I'm not. Listen, I don't have Casey Miller money. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Let's look at StubHub. I'm going to look at StubHub real quick. I'm going to give you a StubHub. Let's just give you a StubHub price on a ticket. We got time here. We got time. Let's see. Oklahoma football. I mean, I think it could be insane. And besides, the last 2 tickets I got were free. So it's really hard to think about paying for tickets,
Gotcha.
Actually, this isn't too bad.
No, this is not bad. This is not bad at all.
Section 19 for $218.
Yeah, no, these aren't bad at all.
I was expecting higher.
Honestly, so
Section 48. 48 is that's pretty up there though, dude. 48's pretty up there. That's $229. Now you're starting. So the best.
I'm seeing $230 tickets in the lower level, and not even in zone.
Yeah.
Something so.
Yeah, you haven't added fees yet though.
True.
I bet when you add fees, it's a problem. Let's see. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's gonna be pricey. Hold on. Here's price display options. You got to do this. Include the fees, Kevin. Include the fees. That bumped everything up north of 300.
Still not horrible for a showcase game like that.
I don't think it's horrible. No. When we went to Ohio State in 2017, I think I paid $195 a ticket. I got 2 tickets, and they were not great seats. They were pretty high up. And those were $195. So $300 for this game with inflation. That's probably about right.
Yeah,
that's probably about right.
Uh-huh.
But I know I'm watching it at home. I haven't really got to watch a game at home yet and just settle in and really kind of dig into it. It's gonna be. We're gonna preview it all. Hey, we've gone a little long. We're gonna preview it all this week. Oklahoma's entrance into the SEC. Texas probably rolling with Arch Manning for the rest of the year. Quinn Ewers on the injury pile of history, done and gone at the University of Texas. We knew you well, Quinn. We knew you well. And your 3 interceptions in the first quarter of the Red River rivalry. Kevin, have a great evening. Oh,
hook 'em.